So
welcome in. This is the Second Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and tonight we are getting you ready for the weekend at Torrey Pines. Greg DuCharme is here, and Greg, breaking news moments ago, the phoniest streak, the phoniest record, the phoniest everything in all of golf just came to an end. Literally seconds ago, Xander Schauffele just missed a 8-foot putt to make the cut. His consecutive cut streak ends at 73, and I say good riddance.
Well, look, I don't root for guys to miss the cut, but I am glad that this streak ends because nobody really bought it anyway, and there's just too many no-cut events included. So we don't need to really track that. Maybe we could track it a different way, but we don't really need to track that. So it's unfortunate that Xander's not going to be around for the weekend. It was a disappointing couple of days for him. He just made it hard on himself. I think he hit 7 fairways between the 2 days. And when you're playing out of that 4-inch rye overseed rough, it's nasty. And it's amazing that he got as close as he did the way he drove the ball.
He's not the only big name who will not be around for the weekend. And yeah, I love Xander. I love the cut streak, but I just want to count the events that have cuts. And if it doesn't have a cut, it doesn't count. That would be a good
idea. Rick, should they go back and retroactively change Tiger's cut streak and we just do it only events that have a cut count?
Yes. So I would retroactively change a lot of things, Greg. I mean, I'm gonna have to look at Sam Snead's win record. I'm gonna have to look at a lot of different things.
That gets dicey.
It does. You know what's really interesting is, there is not like an entity in golf that exists to say like, hey, this is the definition of X, Y, and Z. Like wins is a great example. The year is like, how many wins has Scottie Scheffler had in the last couple of years? Well, it depends on who you ask. And PGA Tour wins is one thing. And like, I think that, the governing body should come together and say, hey, these are what we're counting. These are wins. Yeah. Olympics counts. That's a win. Or the hero doesn't count or whatever it is. And then say, if you're going to keep a cut streak, there has to be a cut at the event. Yeah, we should, and then we should fix it based on those rules.
Well, that one makes total sense. Although I will say this, when you have, what's the word? Ambiguity?
Yes.
When you have ambiguity here, it makes for great conversation for shows like this.
Oh yeah.
But my one that really is striking, talking about retroactively changing things. When Gene Sarazen won the 1935 Masters, do you think he knew that was for the career Grand Slam?
Oh, he didn't. Right? I mean, just like didn't exist.
All of a sudden, it became a major, and obviously it is now, and it should be, but then it wasn't. Right? Xander's cut streak in the record books is like, well, there really weren't a whole lot of cuts.
Right.
He didn't really make a whole lot of cuts in that. And I mean, he did not miss any, so it's true, but there's definitely an asterisk by it. So it's disappointing, but the record books in golf will always have asterisks. Yeah. And I think that's great for, the conversations that we get to have.
Great for the talking heads.
Yeah.
Indeed. You know what else has been great for the talking heads? Brooks Koepka's return to the PGA Tour, swift and now lengthened by 2 more rounds, because thanks to a Friday 68 after an opening round 73, Brooks Koepka has indeed made the cut. He's in a tie for 58th at the moment. There's still a couple of golfers out on the course right now. But Greg, your thoughts on the way that Brooksy has played over the first 2 rounds this week?
Well, challenging golf course that he played yesterday. But before I get into what he did on the golf course, this is a really interesting story because it's never happened before. Like, it's a return, but he wasn't hurt. You know, he
Right.
was still playing professional golf last year.
Right.
Played a full schedule. He played in the majors. It's not like he was out of golf for 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's a very different return, if you will, in that regard. Now he's playing a different level of competition, different kinds of golf courses, and he did have a long off season, just like Xander, right? A lot of time off. But it's not like he wasn't playing competitive golf. So I think that's lost sometimes in the return. That being said, I do think that Brooks played very well. I look at these golf courses as extremely challenging. And it's crazy. When we get to the top of the leaderboard, you're going to see a very wide discrepancy between where Brooks sits and where the lead is. And it's somewhat laughable. But there are very fine margins. I don't think Brooks putted extremely well, but I do think this golf swing is something he can lean on. He looks healthy. He said he's healthy, so that was expected. But he's hitting the ball really well. And you know, perhaps the strategy that he utilized, perhaps the nerves yesterday, like on the first hole, he had a 10-footer for birdie, and it was a little bit of a weak effort. He left a couple putts short. I wonder if Brooks was kind of in like major mode where you're thinking pars are good, and then you look up at the board and it's like, oh my goodness, pars are not very good today. So, you know, it's a very interesting tournament in general. And I think a lot of these guys that just made the cut played some really good golf, and they have no chance over the weekend.
They not at this rate. They do not. I think the biggest news for Brooks Koepka is while he missed half of his fairways, he hit a ton of greens. 29 out of 36. It's 80.5%. It's inside the top 10 of greens in regulation. These are not particularly easy greens to hit. We saw some that were quite bouncy over the course of the week, especially when you are coming out of the rough. You have to be very strategic about how you get on to the putting surface. So I think that's the biggest good takeaway. And then, you know, we're obviously going to see him next week in Phoenix at a place that he's had a lot of success.
Right. Oh, and another good takeaway is he did shoot 4 under today to make the cut.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's a much easier golf course, but it's totally different starting on the North course. And it's like, hey, let's put the pedal down versus, hey, I have to put the pedal down to make the cut. So I think that's probably why, you know, Mark's stat, 6 of the last 7 winners all started on the North course. I think that has an effect. So going out there and shooting 4 under today when you have to is a really good sign. And fortunately, for all the changes that they made to the broadcast schedule to cover this group, at least somebody made the cut. And it's probably a good thing that it was Brooks.
Yeah, we'll get to some of those other guys here in just a second. We've crossed over 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you very much. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, go ahead. You can click it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Helps us quite a bit. If you're watching on X, we do this on YouTube 3 times a week, sometimes more, depending on the tournament. So get after it. And Greg, I'm going to give you the opportunity to choose where you want to go next here. You could choose the golfer that shot, let's see, the round of the day yesterday, the golfer that shot the round of the day today, or the guy who's currently in the lead. Where would you like to go?
Well, Rick, I thought you were giving me a choice.
What do you mean, Greg?
There's not much choice here. In fact, there's no choice. It's the same guy.
It's all the same guy. His name is Justin Rose, and he is boat racing this golf tournament. A 62 in the opening round, went out in 31 in 31. And then I don't know what golf course he played today, a 65 at the South course with a bogey on the card. Justin Rose is 4 shots clear of his next closest competitor. This is a historically low 36-hole start at this event, and he is defying his age at the moment, Greg.
Yeah, he's 45 years old. He's looking like he's, you know, he thinks he's 30. What's the prime in golf? Probably 20.
I would say
6 to 32.
Yeah, I was going to say like your exact age being like 29 or like 30 would be like perfect. Yeah, but that you laid out a good window there.
Right where Scotty is right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Justin Rose looks like he's trying to catch Scotty Scheffler. And if Scotty was playing, he would be behind Justin Rose, probably by a long ways, even as well as he's played. This has just been perfect. I mean, he either thinks that he's 29 or he thinks it's the Ryder Cup. I mean, this is sensational. I was looking at this yesterday. I sent out a tweet about it. He's played this is his 447th event on the PGA Tour. And he hasn't opened with a round below 63 since 2006. He's only done it one other time in his whole career. The 2006, it has some other names to it, but Walt Disney. He shot 60 in the opening round.
That's got a lot of names. That's a big one.
It's like the
Funai
yes.
Championship or something.
The Funai Walt Disney Resorts Championship. It was quite
Magnolia Championship, whatever. Yeah.
He shot 60 in the opening round there. What's also interesting is he shot 63 here in the opening round in 2019 on the North Course and went on to win. He said then he didn't know where the ball was going. That was right after he had reached number one in the world and actually changed equipment. Bizarrely, came out here and went on and won. So that was 2019. He opened 63-66. So he bettered both opening rounds this time, which is pretty darn cool. I don't know where this came from, but my goodness, does he look good?
What is it that he is? I mean, he is the king of just making the most of it. He admittedly doesn't play well for much of the year, or at least he didn't in 2025. He had a lot of missed cuts. He was rarely in contention. He only had a handful of top 10 finishes, but the top 10s that he had were outstanding. Obviously, Pebble Beach, he lost in a playoff at the Masters. He had a top 10 at API, and he won in Memphis. Like it was just, he just makes the most when he's in it. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if it's just because it's a long season and he's 45 years old or whatever, but when he's in the mix, he's very, very good.
Well, he said something to Todd Lewis after his round where he said, I want to keep making memories and I want to do this as long as I'm having fun doing it. And I think that's why he puts in so much effort on his body. I mean, I was seeing some really high ball speeds out of him today. I saw a tee shot on 13. He hit 179, which is like, 180 is a pretty high mark, really high mark. There are good young players that are not reaching 180 ball speed on the PGA Tour, and it was dead straight. So he's definitely having fun, and I think he knows when the pressure's on, he knows how to keep himself calm. In fact, he calms down when the moment intensifies, and I think he really relishes that. So but you have to get there. And if you listen to a lot of broadcasters in today's game, they'll say, I think it's John Cook who says this a lot. You don't forget how to win. You just, sometimes it's harder to get there. But once you get there, you remember how to close. And Rosey's been such an elite player for such a long time. He knows how to handle those situations, and it's clear that he loves them.
He is a sizable favorite going into the weekend. We will talk about those odds in just 1 second. He is also one of the few guys at the top of the leaderboard who played the South Course today. In fact, the next 4 on the leaderboard all played the North Course today. Seamus Power is in second. He's 4 shots back. Joel Damon, Max McGreevy, and Siwoo Kim round out the top 5. Greg, which of those in particular would you like to talk about? I'll tee you up here.
Well, I think Seamus Power, who's in second, is really interesting. Opening with 65-66.
So 65-66 for Seamus Power, including an eagle on his final hole of the day. He is now, I think he's only played twice this year. Maybe 3 times. He's probably played all 3 times. He's played Sony, American Express, and this week he made eagle on his final hole on Friday at the Sony Open to make the cut. He's got a knack for doing that. But anyway, he has gone 65-66. He's statistically, he's leading the field in putting. That's only 1 round of strokes gained at the South Course, which was yesterday. He picked up about 5.5 strokes to the field. If you look at his more standard statistics, he's driving the ball at a 64% clip of finding the fairway. He's hitting 80.5% of his greens in regulation, the same rate that Brooks Koepka did. He's getting a lot more out of it, but still 4 shots off the lead.
Yeah, we gained 5.5 strokes putting yesterday, and it seemed like he did. It was a very similar story yesterday. And if you combine that, well, there's your advantage over Brooks Koepka, right? He's pouring in the putts. He made a couple of long ones yesterday, but he's keeping it in front of him. He's playing the par fives pretty well, I would say. 6 under through the 2 rounds. That's very helpful, and keeping the bogeys off the card. You know, what's really interesting to me about Seamus is he's played here 5 times before and never made the cut. And now he's going to head into the weekend in the final group with Justin Rose. It's a really cool place to be. We talked about Seamus heading into the Sony, and his game looked really sharp in the fall. He was hitting the ball really nicely, and it's great to see more of that now. He's using that claw grip on the greens, and that's what I think the ball striking for Seamus has him kind of up in this position, or I mean, playing well. You know, it's allowing him to hit 80% of the greens of regulation, but that kind of pencil claw grip that he's using has rocketed him up right near the top with just one guy between him and the lead.
It's an interesting rest of that group that I offered you. Joel Damon, who is in a tie for third with Max McGreevy, has really struggled over the last year plus. He doesn't have a lot of top finishes. McGreevy, on the other hand, was one of the better players in the fall. He just piled up a lot of great finishes, had a strong ending to 2025, and then Siwoo Kim was literally in the final group last week, Greg, before kind of the wheels fell off. So he's back in the mix again.
You know, quickly on Joel Damon, he made 3 eagles today.
That's incredible.
Okay, now we talk about this kind of stuff all the time with strokes gained putting, like that wears off.
Yeah,
you're not going to make 3 eagles on the South Course. So, but the good thing for Joel is he's a great iron player. He's going to have a lot of long irons over the weekend, but it just feels like it's going to take a monumental effort for Joel Damon to stay up here near the top of this leaderboard. Siwoo Kim, it doesn't really feel like that's the case because he is still flushing it. My goodness, why does he not have the long putter in play? He gained over 5 strokes approaching the green yesterday on the South Course. It's remarkable. He's hitting the ball too well. It just feels, it almost feels wasted.
I will never get through to Siwoo. I'm not sure anybody will ever get through to Siwoo. It's nice to see him playing well, but I feel like we could just rewind the tape back to last week. You know, that putting stroke, you really, when you see that tension get magnified and get ramped up, you kind of start to see the weaknesses come out, which as with anything in not just sport, like any moment of your life, right? Like, and I'm having flashbacks to last Saturday and Sunday.
The difference is perhaps this helps him, although I'm not sure that it will. He is 7 shots back.
Yeah.
You know,
he's not leading the golf tournament.
It could free him up. And look, a lot can happen. We'll talk about this when we get to the odds, but a lot can happen. So you just keep playing as well as you can. But I saw him hit a putt on the North Course today. It was on one of the par 5s. He hit it, knocked it on there in 2. It must have been number 5. He did 2 putt, but he's got a putt up a ridge to a back flag. He left it like 7 feet short. You know, it's like it just makes it so much harder on yourself. And there's no real pressure at that point. It's not a putt you should make. It's when you're trying to 2-putt and make birdie, and he did, but he made it way harder than he needed to. And then what happens if you're within 3 of the lead on the back nine on Sunday, and you got a 2-putt up a ridge on number 13. You know, a birdie would go a long way. What happens on Sunday? What happens on the Poana greens versus the bentgrass greens? It's concerning. But I look at this stat profile and I'm like, hey, this is like Siwoo all day here. But it's bad enough where I don't have any faith that the putting's going to get better.
The cut line was will be 3 under par, and as of right now, it's a pretty sizable cut. 74 golfers are in. A couple still outstanding that could change that number, but it will not change the actual cut line. The notables that will not be around for the weekend, Greg, are sizable. I mean, Patrick Cantlay, see ya. Xander Schauffele, see ya. Will Zalatoris, goodbye. Ludvig Aberg was in dead last for the majority of this event. Max Homa, see you later. Very, very difficult to be a top name this week. They will be heading to Phoenix or heading to their next event.
You know, it is again, like I was saying, very challenging golf courses. And you go shoot 2 under like Patrick Cantlay did. He shoots even par in round 1, and you feel like that's pretty good on the South course. But then you got to go fill it up on the North, and it's just a tough thing. You run into a small bad stretch like Max Homa, who I selected for one and done, and all of a sudden it's too much to overcome. I'm so bummed about Max Homa because he's been like all signs. I probably should have known going back. And if I did, I would have gone Jason Day, who barely made the cut.
I was going to say, yeah.
I wasn't going to play Justin Rose in one and done.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't great anyway. But the thing with Max is the putter just completely let him down yesterday. He lost like 2.5 strokes on the greens, and it had been so good before. And you're coming to a place that you love and you perform very well at in the past, and then it's a letdown. And I just wonder if, maybe I should have taken the Brooks group a little more seriously when it comes to Max Homa.
The one thing that I do like I don't always love the course rotation, but if you're going to have a 2-course rotation, I like that they have such a big difference in scoring averages, which yesterday was about 3.5 shots to the field. So there's like I'll give a couple examples of this situation. Will Zalatoris shot a 68 yesterday, 75 today, and will miss the cut. Max Grazerman, who was one of the first round leaders yesterday, who shot a 64 at the North Course, 8 under, shot a 78 today and is gonna miss the cut. So I mean, it does create, and then we saw guys do the opposite, right? We saw guys who might have struggled yesterday on the South Course put together these good rounds to rocket them up on the North Course. So you're getting these very different set of situations, which I find exciting all day long.
Well, it is interesting. Makes it very difficult to handicap. And I do think that Torrey Pines is an easy course to handicap, the South Course. It's like, what you have to do. The guys who are capable of doing it, do it. It seems very predictable to me, but the addition of the North Course makes it very unpredictable. I mean, the Max Grazerman was leading most of the day yesterday.
Yeah.
But 78 is out there. I mean, look at Ludvig. I was a little disappointed. Ludvig wasn't asked about how he was feeling in his presser somehow before the tournament. Fortunately for me, that means I have won my matchup for the grid this week.
Oh, right.
But boy, that was really tough. I mean, this guy won the last time we played at Torrey Pines and looked dominant and shoots. He's he birdies his last 2 holes to shoot 78 yesterday.
Yeah, we were with this group yesterday. Weak bogey on one. The weak bogey. It's just like, I'm like, dude, what is going on here? And yeah, it was not great for Ludi, but we'll see if he can get back into action. Okay. One and done wise. So Jason, you mentioned it. So Mark and Mina both have Jason Day. He is barely going to make the cut, right? He is in on the number right there. You see it there. Thank you, Mina.
Yep.
Max Homa is your selection. He is gone. I have Jake Knapp, who is currently inside the top 15. So I guess I've got a chance to make a little bit of cashola, but in the overall selection rates, Jay Day was the most picked at like 18%, and then a pretty decent split between like Matsuyama, McNeely, Gerard, Cam Young got a little bit of love. So I don't know if there's a ton of money to be made this week unless somebody makes a big weekend move.
Which is possible. That again, you start looking at this leaderboard and it seems like first place is a far cry, but you got Seamus Power, Joel Damon, Max McGreevy, and a unfortunately untrustworthy Siwoo Kim. If you take Justin Rose out of this, it becomes very interesting. And second place, if you get like a second place out of Jake Knapp, I think that's very live.
Oh, I'll take it right now.
And that would be huge.
Yeah.
You're probably in that $600,000-ish range. That'd be a great use of Jake Knapp.
I would take $600,000 right now from Jake Knapp. I'd be thrilled about that. Well, let's look at this board, and Mina, get your little fingers ready, because Justin Rose is 17 under par. Seamus Power 13 under, Joel Damon, Max McGreevy 11. The cut line is 3 under, 14 shot difference between the leader and the cut line. Everyone returns back to the South Course for the final 2 rounds, Greg. And I ask you the most important question in all of second cut lore. I ask you, how far back is too far back? How far back is too far back?
My goodness, this is such a tough question. Part of me wants to say 13 under.
Yeah, it might be over.
It feels like that. It really does.
No.
Right. So 4 strokes on this golf course can be made up very quickly.
Yeah.
And even if you look at Rosey's round today, you can't just look at the highlights. You got to look at the whole thing. He made 3 10-footers for par. He hit it over a couple of greens. A couple of really like gritty Justin Rose up and downs, which you don't think of when you go shoot 65, but there's bogeys to be made there. Yeah. They could very quickly turn to bogeys over the weekend. Problem is, I don't look at the guys behind him and think, watch out for Seamus Power. Seamus Power's done a lot of work with the putter, and I'm a huge fan. I think he was somewhere on my card or in the fantasy space for the Sony. I'm a big fan of his, but I don't see him tracking Justin Rose down. Maverick McNeely is probably the...
Yep.
And it's Maverick McNeely. Sahith Theegala, I like where he's at, but those guys are 8 shots back. So
I still think I would take the field.
I think I'd take Rose.
Okay. Well, he's minus 210, so that's probably the right side to be on. It's Seamus Power 9-1. Max McGreevy, Siwoo Kim is next, 16-1. Max McGreevy 20. Joel Damon 33-1, and then basically everybody else not named Maverick McNeely longer than that. McNeely's 20-1. I think it is very possible Rosey shoots like a 74 tomorrow, and McNeely shoots a 69. That's 5 shots, and now it's like a 3-shot lead going into Sunday.
It's very possible. Again, like I said, there were bogeys out there for Rosey. There were definitely bogeys out there for Rosey. I think he has I think he has gotten off to this blazing fast start, and now he can play his favorite style of golf. Grinding it out. It's a very unique place. So so Thigala let's say he shoots 68 tomorrow. He gets to 13 under. 13 under could be in play heading into the weekend. There's just not that many of those guys that I trust on this board, and that's the hard thing. Jake Knapp shoots 68. He gets to 12. Could he be within 4 shots going into Sunday? Hideki's at 7. Those are some of the guys that I would look at and say, okay, you got to keep your eye on this guy. Got her up at 6 under. I wonder what the odds are for him for a top 5 finish, because I love Goddard moving up this board. He is striping it. Hasn't made any putts. He's in a tie for 24th.
Wonder no more. Chris Goddard to finish inside the top 5, including ties, 6.5 to 1.
I like that more than any of the outrights on the board. What about Pearson Coody, top 5?
Coody, top 5? Wonder no more, 10 to 1.
10 to 1. I like that. I like the way both these guys are hitting it, and I like them on this golf course. They're at 6 under. They're 4 shots out of the top 5, with, again, a lot of guys that I don't really trust in front of them. So I'm probably leaning that way more than the outright market.
How about this? And I'm going to just have to read these to you because we don't have a graphic available. Winner without Justin Rose. Okay. Mina, can you throw that leaderboard back up so we can reference it? Sorry. Thank you kindly. So now Seamus Power leads by 2. He's 4 to 1. Siwoo Kim is 6 to 1. Now Siwoo Kim is 3 shots back. McGreevy 9 to 1. Damon 14 to 1. McNeely 10 to 1. And then obviously a lot more guys are live. There's like 12 guys who are 30 to 1 or shorter because the lead is now at 13.
Okay. That becomes very interesting. So McNeely shot 70 today on the South Court. McNeely at 10 to finish second behind Rose.
Right, which is he's 4 shots off of the new lead, and he's 2 shots off of the new second.
I would be very interested in that.
That's pretty good.
So that's at 9. But that brings like Hideki into play.
Right. Now the board is like way more wide open.
Knapp.
Knapp's 19 to 1 in that market.
Yeah, that's
because he's only 5 back.
5 back. You get a pretty good number on that. He's finished 3rd here before. Love his game here. That's probably where I'd go. I'd look to McNeely, Knapp, possibly Goddard, Coody. Those are the guys that I like. I think they're too far back to win.
Those are on DK Sportsbook, those odds that I just pulled up very quickly to see. Okay, Gregors. Well, listen, it is going to be a great weekend. Everybody back on the South Course. They might have to do split tees because there's currently 74 guys that have made it through. But is there one thing outside of Justin Rose holding on to this? Is there something you'll have your eye on for the final 2 days?
I'll definitely have my eye on Brooks Koepka.
Okay.
I'll obviously. I think I'll have my eye on Jason Day as well. Now those guys that are back at the 3 under mark, how are they going to play going forward on a major championship type golf course? Where's the game of Brooks Koepka? How's it hold up over 4 rounds? Where's the game of Jason Day? He is heading to Pebble Beach in a couple weeks, where he's also played very well. Had a bad day today. I'm looking to see how he bounces back. And the other thing I'll be watching is Siwoo Kim's putting.
Good call. Okay.
Yeah. Because Siwoo could, if I'm wrong on that and he finds something, he could take our whole last 5-minute conversation and throw it out the window the way he's hitting it.
Yeah, I want to see, what does Michael Thorbjornsen do? What does Hideki do on the weekend? What does Cam Young do? Cam Young's had a good week. It hasn't been a great week, but it's been a good week. Can he kind of move up the leaderboard and see where it leads him? So yeah, there's plenty of subplots if Rose runs away with this.
Yes. And like you said, it could very quickly not be a runaway.
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't think there's a guy. This is my biggest problem with it. I don't know if there's a guy behind him that I'm very trustworthy of.
Which is fair. Okay. Well, guess what? We'll be back on Sunday to figure it all out. For now, big thanks, producer Mina. She does all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg DuCharme. I'm Rick Gehman. This is The Second Cut. See you on Sunday.